Lecture 3, Jewish Culture. Various aspects of Jewish culture have made a deep impact on Western civilization. The following are some of the most important contributions that Judaism has made to Western civilization: belief in one creator, sacred scriptures, reverence of the human being, reverence for law, both oral and written, system of justice, and care for the poor. All 6 of these contributions are expressed in the Jewish belief called Tikkun Olam, which means healing the world by making it a better place. One creating God who loves creation. The inspired author of Genesis wrote the first verse with, "In the beginning God created the heavens and the earth." Then the inspired author proceeds to correct rival epics, such as the Enuma Elish. Errors contained in these rival epics on the beginning of the universe included that there are many gods, human beings are not loved by gods, human beings are manipulated by gods, matter is evil, and there is a sun god and a moon god, etc. Joshua J. Mark describes the Enuma Elish's Mesopotamian gods as follows, and I quote, "In ancient Mesopotamia, the meaning of life was for one to live in concert with the gods. Humans were created as co-laborers with their gods to hold off the forces of chaos and to keep the community running smoothly. According to the Mesopotamian creation myth, the Enuma Elish, meaning when on high, life began after an epic struggle between the elder gods and the younger. In the beginning, there was only water swirling in chaos and undifferentiated between fresh and bitter. These waters separated into 2 distinct principles: the male principle, Apsu, which was fresh water, and the female principle, Tiamat, salt water. From the union of these 2 principles, all the other gods came into being. These younger gods were so loud in their daily concourse with each other that they came to annoy the elders, especially Apsu, and, on the advice of the vizier, he decided to kill them. Tiamat, however, was shocked at Apsu's plot and warned one of her sons, Ea, the god of wisdom and intelligence. With the help of his brothers and sisters, Ea put Apsu to sleep and then killed him. Out of the corpse of Apsu, Ea created the earth and built his home. Though in later myths, the Apsu came to mean the watery home of the gods or the realm of the gods. Tiamat, upset now over Apsu's death, raised the forces of chaos to destroy her children, herself. Ea and his siblings fought against Tiamat and her allies, her champion Kingu, the forces of chaos, and Tiamat's creatures without success until from among them rose the great storm god Marduk. Marduk swore he would defeat Tiamat if the gods would proclaim him their king. This they agreed to. He entered into battle with Tiamat, killed her, and from her body created the sky. He then continued on with the act of creation to make human beings from the realms of Kingu as helpmates to the gods. So that excerpt indicates that according to the Mesopotamian myths, creation comes out of violence and human beings come out of a violent act, in contrast to the Genesis account where God does not create out of violence but creates completely out of peace. He doesn't create by manipulating matter but creates out of nothing. Sacred Scripture. The Jewish Bible or Hebrew Scriptures form most of what Christianity considers as the Old Testament. And in your transcript, I provide you with the canons of the Protestant, Orthodox, and Catholic. The Hebrew Scriptures and the Old Testaments, which are not exactly equal, as evident in the transcript, have been interpreted in a variety of ways throughout the history of Western civilization. The 3 most common are as follows: not inspired, dictation theory, and participation theory. And Robert Spitzer describes these 3 ways in a very precise manner, and I'd like to quote from him. So the first one is, those who view the Bible as simply a book like any other do not believe it is divinely inspired, and therefore hold that it does not contain any divine revelation. And that would be non-inspired. The second one, which is dictation theory, according to the dictation theory, God inspired every single word the authors of Scripture wrote. Sometimes this leads people to assert that the Bible teaches only salvific truth, but also scientific truth in a precise manner as we currently define science. According to the participation theory of biblical inspiration, human intellects with their historical categories and understanding of the world participated in writing the divinely inspired text. In collaborating with man, God inspired the human author in a manner in which he did not give words to the author, but rather respected the author's categories and words. With divine condensation, God allowed the human authors to use historically conditioned categories and words when writing down the sacred inspired truths. This manner of reception follows the well-known principle of St. Thomas Aquinas, that whatever is received in the mode of the receiver. As clearly stated in Pope Pius XII's Divino Afflante Spiritu, God inspired the authors to teach sacred truths necessary for salvation. Because of his respect for the human author's mental categories and language, God did not inspire the biblical authors to accurately describe the physical universe in a precise, modern scientific manner. Rather, he accommodated his truths according to his human, historically conditioned concepts so that we can understand him. Reverence of the human being. Ancient Assyrian, Babylonian, Persian, Indian, Greek, Roman, and many other civilizations assumed that an individual's worth is based on their status in society. In some civilizations, an elaborate caste system determines what a person's value is. Other cultures are less explicit, but nonetheless have their own caste-like way of determining a person's value. As we will see in a subsequent lecture, in the century before the birth of Christ, the Roman Stoic Cicero argued that everyone has, by natural law, equal value. Way before this assertion of reason, the Jewish people received revelation from God that all human beings are of equal value since they're made in the image and likeness of God, as Genesis 1:26-27 clearly affirms. Reverence for law, system of justice, and care for the poor. The Western concept of a rule of law that equally applies to all is also in part due to the Jewish civilization's value of law. It is also, as will be seen later, due to the Roman value of law and order. Unlike the Roman appreciation of law to keep order in their empire by reducing the likelihood of rebellion from people who deem themselves not being treated fairly, the Jewish recognition of law's importance stems not from practical concerns, not from horizontal concern of how we relate to one another primarily, but according to sacred scripture and Jewish oral tradition, from our vertical relationship with God, for reverence for God, out of reverence for Him. The Jewish laws reflected in a system of justice, complete with a court system, by which individuals accused of crimes had assured they would be treated fairly. The importance in the West of a fair trial is partly due to this Jewish aspect of life. Below, in your transcript, you will see this, are a few of the court and judicial mitzvot, Hebrew for laws, from the traditionally determined 613 mitzvot that come from the Torah, first 5 books of the Bible. And I'm not going to read that for you. There are excerpts from Deuteronomy and Leviticus. I suggest you look at the transcript. Jewish law also required that the poor and vulnerable be not harmed, but provided with means to help themselves and be given aid when needed. And in your transcript, I also provide you from excerpts from Exodus, Leviticus, and Deuteronomy, in which it is clear that Jewish law in the Old Testament require the poor and vulnerable are not harmed, but are given aid, such as the widow, the orphan. God bless.